Hello, this is Girma, English teacher. Today we see about this negative and tag question or else question tag. We can say both are possible, question tag or else tag question. We see about this one. But before that, please, this is from Lucybridge Academy. And then if you do have any comment, and don't forget again to subscribe maybe our channel, you get a lot. I'm very confident that will give you a key that unlock the door to successes. And then please follow our channel. This is what I need to tell you. Last time we discussed about what we call this simple question and indirect question. We touched about that one. And then what is a simple question? Already I gave you what is indirect. How can we form indirect question? So the key point that you have to remember is that when a phrase or else a clause comes before simple question, yes, we form indirect question. And then there is a change of arrangement. And at the same time, you have to remember about where you put question mark and full stop. This is what we touched. Then today we come to negative question and question tags. Negative question. Do you know negative question is? So negative question, or else sometimes we call it yes or no question. Yes or no question. But the negative, in negative question, we put the negative forms after WH. That means WH word is maybe in another way. But here, when we say a negative question, we rest it with auxiliary verb, but that auxiliary verb is negative. That is the point. For instance, if we say like this, haven't you finished? Haven't you finished your work? This is negative question. Haven't you finished? Haven't. Have you seen the auxiliary verb is written in negative form? That's why we call it negative or else yes or no question. Even this one is yes or no question. If it is positive, for instance, the intention is the same. For instance, I can use this one, haven't you finished your work? Or else have you finished this? Have you finished? Have you finished your work? Your work. The intention is the same, but this one is positive, yes? That's why. But this one is negative or else yes or no. Both of them are yes or no question. You can say yes or no concerning this one, yes? But for time being, my intention is with what we call, okay, this negative question. So haven't you finished your work? Really, if you are positive, then you say yes. If the positive is true, that means haven't you finished your work? If the positive is true, you say yes. If the negative is true, you say no. For instance, really, if you have finished your assignment, you say what? People may be confused when question is raised with negative question. That's why I bring here is, and then haven't you finished your work? If the positive is true, that means really, if you have finished, you say what? Yes. You say what? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, yes, I have. If the negative is true, that means if you haven't finished, you say what? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. If the positive is true, I told you, yes, I have. No, I haven't. Yes. Again, I need to tell you something here is, student, if you say yes, the next statement that you write must be positive. Remember this one is, the next statement that you write must be what? It must be positive. If you say no, the next must be what? Negative. But sometimes people may, or else in exam, you may be given, okay, to challenge you like this. Yes, I haven't. No, I have. Totally, this type of writing is wrong. Yes? Have you got? Yes, I haven't, we don't say. If we say yes, the next must be positive. Yes? This is what we have to remember. If we say no, the next must be negative. If you write like this, that is wrong. The other important point that I need to tell you that when you provide a response for this, you use the auxiliary verb that is raised, that the question is raised. That means, okay, for instance, the question is raised here with have, then the answer must be with have. You don't say, for instance, if there is in the alternative, yes, I do, no, I do not. This is wrong again, yes? Because the question is raised with have, then the answer must be with have. Yes? If you say like this is again, it is wrong. Remember this one. Yes? Then this is very important in negative yes or no, in negative or else yes or no question. That means this. When you give response, if the positive is real, you say yes. If the negative is real, you say no. And at the same time, you use, when you give a response, you use the auxiliary verb that made the question. For instance, here, that means, okay, it is made with have, and then we have to give the answer with have. Most of the time, that means 90%, 99%, you have to use this one. So, for instance, here, aren't these books mine? Why didn't you go? Why? The other point with WH. Why didn't he go? For instance, this is even, you can take it like yes or no question. Yes, we don't say why you didn't go. This is wrong. Yes, have you got? This is wrong. We say that means, okay, the auxiliary verb must come before, after, immediately, or else before the subject. That means yes. So why you didn't go? Sometimes, okay, using intonation, you may make it a question sense. But that is in communication. In writing, that means in academic writing, immediately the auxiliary verb must come before the subject. This is what you have to remember. Is, for instance, here, aren't they French? Yes, they are. No, they are not. Have you seen? This is what I told you. If we say yes, this must be positive. If we say no, this must be negative. And again, the question is raised with are. Then the answer must be with that. Yes? This is negative question. When we give answer, we use the auxiliary verb which format the question. That means already I told you, have you finished your work? Yes, I have, or no, I haven't. This is already I told you about this one. Then here you do have question, for instance. This is question that is taken maybe from international question. Have you had breakfast, sweetie? No, I didn't. Sorry, here, it must be here. I didn't. No, I haven't. Yes, I have. Yes, I haven't. Here, it must be written like this. Sorry. So, no, I didn't. Look, the question is, what did I tell you? The question, that means, okay, is raised with have. Then the answer must be with that. And if we say no, then it must be I haven't. If we say yes, can we use a positive statement? No, this is wrong. Yes, this is totally, after we say yes, it must not be negative. Yes. But here, no, I haven't is right. And then we don't use didn't here. This is what you have to remember. Is. So, is Aster your sister? Yes, she is. No, she isn't. That means, okay, we say not yes, she is. Or else not no, she is. This is already, I told you, this is wrong. And then this is about simple question. And then in simple question, that means you have to remember, that means, okay, when you give a response. And then that is, we call it, okay, negative question or else yes or no question. So you have to take care when you provide a response for that. This is what you have to know. So this is from Lucybridge Academy. Then I'm giving you, that means, okay, very colorful and interesting topic concerning what most of the time students do have a problem. So to make clear for you as much as possible, I use from simple, yes. And then I know your susceptible area, I'm touching that one. And then don't forget to subscribe and put or else forward comment for us as we strengthen the way that we approach you, yes. After I said this one, when it comes to tag question, or else sometimes they call it question tag, it doesn't have a problem. So the first thing is that means when the statement is positive, then the question tag is negative. When the statement is negative, the question tag is positive. This is the domain rule, yes, that you have to remember. So put it in your mind. So here, The auxiliary verbs, yes, the auxiliary verbs plays a great role here. That is why I told you at the beginning, as a high school student, you have to be familiar with the common auxiliary verb that we do have in English. Yes? And then now, here, when we form tag question, if it has auxiliary verb, we use the auxiliary verb to form the tag question. If we don't have auxiliary verb, we go to do family. What I told you previously, that means if the verb is verb 1, if it is verb 1, we use do. If it is verb S, have you seen? We use does. If it is verb 2, we use did. This is what you have to remember. And then that means if the statement does have auxiliary verb, we use the auxiliary verb. If it doesn't have, we come to this do families. This is even what we worked when we form what we call, okay, this simple question and like that questions. For instance, the first one, she has done her assignment. Now here we do have auxiliary verb. First, we have to identify that one. Then the next one is it positive or negative statement? If it is positive, then the next must be negative. If the statement is negative, then the tag question is positive. This is what you have to put in mind. Then here we do have has, and then the statement is positive. So if it is positive, this must be negative. The other important point, when you form a tag question, so this must be comma. Don't forget that one. In exam, they may put in instead of comma, semicolon or else colon and like that. Therefore, you have to, that means, okay, give attention. They have to be very serious, that means. And in addition, after comma, wherever you write, that means the first letter must be what? Small letters. If they make this one is capital letter, that is wrong. This is what I need to tell you. So, because I know you're susceptible area, that's why I'm telling you this. Look here again. Therefore, that's why this is negative. So, hasn't she? He's not a good player of football. Now, the main verb here, again, the auxiliary verb, when we make a sentence only with verb to be, we use that verb to be itself, even if we don't have the auxiliary verb, I mean the main verb. Therefore, this one is negative, then this must be positive, therefore is he. Don't forget, comma, small letter, and like that. She arrived here early. Now here, do we have any auxiliary verb? We don't have. So the main verb is what? Arrives. If it is arrives is what type of verb? Verb is. So if it is verb is, we use what? Does. Then here, is it positive or negative? This is positive. Then the next one is what? Negative. Therefore, doesn't she? Have you seen it? Yes. So again here, she hardly. Sometimes you may be given with a negative words. There are words that carries a negative sense, like never, hardly, seldom, and like that. Especially never and hardly, be familiar with that. Hardly makes this sentence what? Negative. But do we have auxiliary verb? We don't have auxiliary verbs. So we don't have auxiliary verb. Therefore, we go to what? Do families. That means, okay, so the verb is what? What type of verb? That is verb 2. So if it is verb 2, we use what? Did. That is what you have to remember. So this is negative, then the tag question is what? Positive. So that's why we say did she. He would come to your party if you invited him. I don't know how much you are very familiar about this conditional clause. Maybe in the future, we'll see that one in depth, that means. And then this is a technique. Look, this is type 2 or else improbable type of conditional clause. If you invited, if this one is verb 2, this is would. Otherwise, this means, look here, this means, this abbreviation means that means, okay, he would, this means what? He would, or else he had. It's at that sense. And then we depend on this structure, that means, okay, because come here is, it can be verb 3, it can be verb 1. But after would, we know that after modal auxiliary verb, what type of verb follow them? That is verb 1. Therefore here, this tells us that this is would. Therefore we use would. And this one is what? It is positive statement. Therefore here, the tag question is negative. Then we say what? Wouldn't he? We say like this. And then you can understand like this about this tag question. So don't come with me. The other one is we do have irregular tag questions. Irregular tag question, that means don't come with me. Will you? Have you seen for negative or positive here? Especially when it is imperative sentence, when the subject is understood and is not written here, then we call this one is imperative. Therefore, whether the statement is negative or positive, we use what? Will you? Let's go. Shall we? Let's go. That means, okay, shall we? I am a Lucybridge student. Yes, look, aren't I? That means no one. The other one is for no one. For no one. For everybody. Everybody. For nobody. Somebody. Don't forget, yes, the subject for this one is in tag question is they. Have you seen? So for instance, no one has submitted the assignment. Have they? Then this is has. The plural form is have, and then we say have they? Question mark. Everybody discuss. Everybody discusses. Sorry, here. Discusses the national exam, about the national exam. So here, that is the subject is they. That's why we don't have auxiliary verb. We go to do family. Therefore, because of they, here we use do. Do they? This is what you have to remember. Okay, we have seen some of the questions about this tag question. How can we form? Previously, we did it that one. In addition, maybe let me show you one. The rest, you yourself do it. But if you do have maybe problems, you can write this under the comment. For instance, you would never met her before. Here, do we have auxiliary verb? Yeah, that is this, head. Head means, I told you previously, that means, okay, this means he would or else he had. So to say he had or else would, we depend on the main verb. If the main verb is verb 1, we use would, that is would, that means it is would. If the main verb is verb 3, it means had. So therefore this is verb 3, therefore this is had. And then don't forget, that means we do have some words like never, hardly, already I told you, they make the statement negative. Therefore this is negative, then the next statement is positive. Therefore here we say what? That means had he. Don't forget, that means, okay, the capitalization, I mean, whether it is capital or small, that means, okay, this must be comma, and then don't forget this must be small letter. Basically, after comma, I told you that any letter must be, that comes immediately, must be what we call, okay, this small letter. Don't drop that base. Now, this is imperative statement. Therefore, for this one, we say what? Will you? Then do the rest. The rest I leave for you. So do it at your home. So, and then if you are challenged, you can just write under comment. But I want to, yeah, you can do it. Yes. Then this is what we have for today from Lucybridge Academy. So if you do have any comments, any suggestion, just put or jot down under the comment. When it reaches us, we can improve. We can improve how we approach you, and then we can give you a lot. That means, and we can give you a key that unlocks the door to success. Therefore, please, I'm very confident that you got a lot, especially for national exam, for different exam, to make you yourself equitable. If you follow our channel, really, you'll be more successful. This is what I need to tell you from Lucybridge Academy. Thank you very much.